Yeah, hello everyone. My name is Ketsukan, self-proclaimed strongest VTuber extraordinaire. Today, I'm bringing you a little something different from what I normally do. A semi-video essay series on the real-life or seemingly real-life inspiration and references of some of the characters from the gacha game series Fate Grand Order. Before I fully start, maybe I should explain a little bit of what Fate Grand Order is, or Fate Go for short. In a quick sense, to get everyone caught up, Fate Go is a gacha game based off the Nasuverse. In the game, you play as a mage that can summon heroic spirits, which are heroes and humans from history to fight with you against various baddies that incinerated humanity's future. These spirits are summoned according to the contract with the Counterforce and or Holy Grail. If you need a deeper dive, I will link a video that I think does a good job of explaining it. But essentially, these heroic spirits are humans that either one, want to wish granted by the Holy Grail, and or two, want to fight for humanity. So to start off the series, I want to introduce you to a vampire that was the inspiration to the hit story Dracula, amongst other fantastic media. Her name is Carmilla. And now right off the bat, let me say a few things. In the game, she is said to be an alternate version of the darker side of Elizabeth Bathory, or Bathory, I think is how you pronounce it. I'm not sure. I kind of understand if they were making a stretch to relate her with an actual human being. However, we will keep them separate because taking her into account would kind of muddy this video, as Elizabeth is based off the real Hungarian alleged serial killer of the Bathory family, Countess Elizabeth. So instead, I want to focus on the book reference that seemed to have been drawn a little bit of inspiration from Elizabeth amongst various other things. The book Carmilla is an 1872 Gothic novel by Irish author Sheridan Le Fanu. This was also one of the first works of vampiric fiction. This predates just about anything, almost. And it also has the prototypical lesbian vampire. See, homosexuality is not a new thing that's introduced to literature. It's been there forever, y'all just can't read. And I want to sidetrack here just a little bit to kind of solidify the homosexuality of Carmilla from a book passage. Now it goes a little something like this. Sometimes, after an hour of apathy, my strange and beautiful companion would take my hand and hold it with the fond pressure, renewed again and again, blushing softly, gazing into my face with languid and burning eyes, and breathing so fast her dress rose and fell with tumultuous respiration. It was like the ardor of a lover. It embarrassed me. It was hateful yet overpowering, and with gloating eyes she drew me to her, and her hot lips traveled along my cheeks in kisses, and she would whisper, almost in sobs, "You are mine, you shall be mine, and you and I are one forever." Carmilla, Chapter 4. Now, this novella never actually acknowledges homosexuality as an antagonistic trait, leaving it morally ambiguous for the books of that age. Wanted to quick point out that homosexuality as a trait is antagonistic, and I think the book wanted to convey that as well. Even though it is a part of Carmilla, which is seen as the main antagonist of the story, that specific trait isn't the negative part. This book predates Dracula by about 26 years and is speculated to be the big inspiration behind it. Another big inspiration is said to be Vlad the Impaler. However, the latter is never certain to be true. We know that there was small inspirations from him, but most of them were from Carmilla. Now, the book version describes Carmilla as having unearthly beauty, having nocturnal habits but not being confined to the darkness, and being able to walk through walls and solid objects. Also having an animal-altered form of a large cat, sleeping in a coffin filled with blood, and she mostly targeted young women. Hence the lesbian thing. Most of these come across in the video game, mostly in the fact that she does extra damage to female targets in her noble phantasm. But the game version of Carmilla has to do a lot of the descriptions through game cutscenes and visual hints. And I'll be damned if the version of Carmilla doesn't have unearthly beauty. The rest of her description are seen better through her skills. one passive skill is presence concealment, allowing her to be sneaky, move through walls and solid objects and such. One of her skills is bloodsucker, and I mean, yeah, she's a vampire. Her secondary skill is torture technique. This one is a bit off, since I think they tried to relate it to a noble phantasm. That's kind of wrong, but we'll get into that. And her last skill is bloodbath, literal terms, because she takes a bath of blood when she sleeps to rejuvenate. Now, her noble phantasm, her ace in the hole, her special technique, all characters have one of these, and before they are deployed, they say a small incantation to activate it. Hers goes a little like blood, blood, oh blood, eternal beauty, endless banquet, the ugliness of old age shall be cast away till the end of time. Phantom Maiden. Foo-foo. Now this is one version of her incantation, and it fits the whole vampire vibe, but the actual animation shows an Iron Maiden being the main damage dealer. And I hate to break it to you, but the Iron Maiden never actually existed. It's a fake, so it would go without saying that she never actually used such an item, even though we're talking about a book inspiration, but we'll digress. Her actual attacks were mostly stealthy bites at night, and her large cat form that the game also gets wrong. In the game they use dogs, Danes I think, so it's not super accurate, but again the game states that she is Bathor's negative side, so these liberties are expected and they're pretty great, I will say. Now that's essentially Carmilla, a vampire that falls in love with her younger woman targets, where she slowly drains them of their strength and vitality via blood sucking at night, night after night. The book did try to creep in a hint that maybe she wanted to turn her latest target into a fellow vampire, because she truly loves her and believes that they were fated to be together since they dreamt of each other when Laura was still a young child, Laura being the latest target. However, this could be another trick to get Laura to lower her guard and let her in, but I'm not too sure. Before we go, I wanted to include a few different things I found neat about the story. One is that the first two versions of Carmilla in the game are wearing a mask. These masks are a reference to the masquerade where Carmilla met her first target, and they correspond pretty well with each other. The second thing is that in the game you can ask the characters questions that they will respond to, and a few questions I found interesting is, what do you like, what do you dislike, and what wish would you make on the Grail? When you ask her what she likes, she says, well, what I like, that goes without saying, the blood of young girls. It can't be helped. Does it make you look down on me? And yes, two ways we can take this is that yes, the whole lesbian thing, which has been restated over and over and over again, or the fact that maybe she needs young girl's blood in order to keep herself young and beautiful, and old man blood is just not going to do it. And on the flip side of that is, what does she hate? And her response is, I dislike myself. Hate even, completely. You'll get the same answer if you ask me. A part of her did feel disgusted with what she had become in the book, but I think it's because she was once a human too. You could also take this as in the game version, she hates herself, which is Elizabeth, and Elizabeth hates her, so maybe that's where you get that correlation. And the last question is what she would wish upon the Grail. She doesn't have a wish. Her response is Holy Grail. I'm curious to find out what will happen if it's dirtied with blood. Nothing more. I'm sure that just means that she doesn't have a wish and just finds this whole fighting thing kind of amusing. This has hopefully been the first video in a series where we explore the influences and real life counters of the heroes of Fate Grand Order. This one's gonna be a little shorter than most of them, simply because finding or describing the book references without spoiling it is kind of hard, and also the book itself is kind of short. It doesn't really have too much to offer in terms of length. I don't know how exactly to describe it. It's just that the book is very short. There's not very much to go off of, and I read this thing like 3 or 4 times to try to get everything down. But it just doesn't have enough material to make the video very long. but I wanted to do it anyway because Carmilla isn't something that most people know about. But you know, other than that, I'm thinking about who to make the next video on, and maybe Elizabeth, since she's an actual human, and we kind of touched on her a little bit. Vlad the Impaler, which is also a real person that we have touched upon, and I also have a Charlotte Corday script already written, and I'm doing research on the Count of Monte Cristo, which is Edmond Dantes, which is also really long. So, but I don't know. If you like this video, thank you much for watching. I appreciate all of you for sticking around, and I will see you guys next time. Have a fantastic day.